Welcome to the Collective, where you hear all things collecting and much, much more. I'm Zack Mo.
And I'm Collector.
So, how was your weekend collecting, Collector?
Uh, what's up, Zack Mo? And what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in. My week in collecting was, I don't know, it was an interesting week. I don't think I picked up too much in the way of personal collection items. I got a whole bunch of stuff for the business. So the stream should be super, super fun this weekend. But I actually I utilized some of my collection to finance some other purchases, which I think was necessary. I had to offload. I didn't have to, but I chose to offload a bunch of things to finish up this project that I'm working on at home for my family, for me, my wife, and my kids.
What kind of project?
We've been renovating the backyard. We have a pretty small house. We live in a beach town, and it used to be like a bungalow, and there's been a few additions put onto it. But it's a 3 bedroom, 1 bath. I have 2 kids, and my wife and I and a dog. But our backyard is pretty big, but it was just like all like dead grass, like unused space.
Hmm.
So I renovated the whole backyard. I put in like a playground area for my girls. I put in a small like Costco pool for them, and then
You mean
like
for
a
you?
no, it's like 2 feet deep. Like of course I go in with my daughter, but it's not a grown up pool. Eventually we'll get a bigger pool, but the girls are too young. And then we put in a gazebo, or put up a gazebo and 2 little like paver patio areas. Um, and then
Sounds
I wanted
cute.
to get it's super nice. I'll put pictures in the Discord at some point, but I wanted to get a fire pit. Um, and so that is what I condensed some of my collection for and turned it into a really nice little fire pit area.
So we're gonna roast marshmallows and hang out.
I got all of the marshmallow roasting accessories. I like the same way I do collecting is the way I do everything in life, which I feel like a lot of us who collect are that way. But have you ever heard of Solo Stove?
No,
Okay, so Solo Stove is like a bougie fireplace company, outdoor fire pit company.
I live in a
And
tiny apartment in New York City.
all right, so you
How am
probably
I
don't have
supposed to know
much
about
use.
fire pit?
Solo Stove is like trendy. They're like on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and they're a smokeless fire pit. That's the idea. Not smokeless enough that you can do it inside an apartment in New York, but smokeless. Like if you look it up, you'll see they use thermodynamics, and they have like holes bored out along the top rim and the bottom rim so that the smoke gets recycled back to into the wood, or pellets. You can use pellets with them too. But basically, instead of buying just a fire pit, because that would be like what a normal person would do, I bought like everything, like all things that that were related. So I have like all branded Solo Stove. I actually ended up buying 3 fire pits, 2 like little miniature ones and then 1 regular size one. The 2 miniature ones are going under the gazebo, and then the regular one goes in the fire pit area. The
So
miniature ones are like tabletops.
when he runs out of product, guys, on stream, just know it went straight into this fire pit
No, that is
solo
not
stove.
true. That's not true. I did a restock. This is the biggest restock I've done in probably like 2 months. It was a very expensive week
Oh yeah.
in Pokemon. And then my computer broke, which you already know. My computer broke like 2 hours ago. And I was like, oh, I have the podcast tonight. So I had to go buy another computer. So that's where my week in collecting went. I did get
I apologize for the beeping if you heard it. That was my insulin pump as usual.
is it plugged in? Is that last week? What happened last week with the insulin pump?
So when I got out of the shower, you're supposed to all right, the insulin pumps is it's in three different pieces. There's the cartridge that goes into the pump, the tubing, and then there's the housing unit that that has a cannula. It's like a tiny piece of plastic that goes into me, and the tubing connects to the housing unit. When I got out of the shower last week, I didn't connect it correctly. So I sat here for, I don't know, 3 hours without getting any insulin at all. My blood sugar shot up to 400. For those who
Oh
don't
my
know, an average blood sugar for somebody, well, my target is 80 to 120. If you're not diabetic, your blood sugar should be around 80. So mine was at 400. I did not feel good. And my pump would not stop yelling at me.
Well, I'm glad that you figured it out. Make sure it's connected because we got
Oh,
we
it
got
is.
some
It
some
is.
stuff to talk about. I can't be having you get
I'm dying over here.
a sugar high during the rest of the episode.
No, but that is what that beep was. It told me that my sugar is going up, but it's connected. It's because
why does that happen? Like, why would it randomly go up?
it wasn't random. My fat ass had a cupcake.
Oh, all right.
But to be
Cupcake
fair, it's my mom's birthday.
Oh,
My
happy
mom's
birthday,
birthday.
Zack Mo's mom. That's awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
Shout out Mama Mo.
Absolutely. Shout out Mama Mo. I love that.
So we had cupcakes, and naturally I didn't take enough insulin. So to answer your question, if you don't take enough insulin for food, your blood sugar goes up.
Got it. So eat cupcake, blood sugar spike. Insulin. Then what does the insulin do? Does the insulin it breaks down the sugar properly?
Correct. So
Okay. So
insulin will lower your
it's
blood
giving
sugar.
you more insulin
Right.
to counteract the cupcake.
Correct. Well, no, not more insulin. I'll try to do this not quickly, but briefly. Type 1 diabetics, our pancreases do not make insulin. So
Okay.
I don't make insulin whatsoever. And insulin
Can I pause you
is
for
the
1
key.
second?
Absolutely.
Do you catch that? Or is it like you always have it?
If you come 5 feet within me, you'll get it.
Okay.
Kindergarten, there was a girl that ran away from me yelling, "Ew, no, you're sick." I'm not sick. I just have diabetes. No, so it's an autoimmune disease where your immune system just attacks itself for no fucking reason.
Okay.
And I got mine when I was 4. Um, so the pancreas stops working, it stops producing insulin. And insulin is a hormone that breaks down sugar inside the blood. So when I can't, control my blood sugars spike, causes all sorts of compilations. As if you know me on TikTok, I'm Zack Mo 9 toe. I only have 9 toes because of it. I currently have diabetic retinopathy, which causes me to have injections. I've had 5 eye surgeries. It causes kidney damage, which thank God my kidneys are working perfectly fine. But I mean, it's a manageable disease. It's one hell of a bitch. It controls my life minute to minute, second to second, but it's manageable. And I've had it
Got
for
it.
28 years and I'm still kicking.
So it just happens to people for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, people get sick and sometimes that can do it. Their immune system just attacks itself. Well, there was a huge boom of it during COVID. A
Interesting.
lot of
I
people who
had
were
no
getting
idea.
COVID were getting diabetes afterwards.
Like type 1 diabetes?
Yeah, and
Because the
type
other
1
one,
diabetes
type 2 is
was
like you should stop eating cupcakes
right.
and then you
So
maybe won't have diabetes anymore.
exactly.
Okay.
So type 1, I'm sure you've heard it all before, and people are like, "Oh, exercise, diet, all of this and that, and you won't have diabetes anymore." That does not work for type 1. There
Got it.
is no diet, no exercise in the world that's gonna cure me. Um, type 1 used to be called juvenile diabetes because it was far more common in children, but now recently it has become a big thing in adults too. So it's not, so much juvenile anymore.
Do people grow out of it? Like, why would they call it juvenile diabetes? Don't you just have it
Just because
forever
of
once you get it?
yeah, I have this for life. There's no
It's
going back.
weird.
Yeah, it is
Weird
really
that
weird.
they named it juvenile, like you're 60 and you still have it. You know what I mean?
Well, no, it's type 1, but it was commonly referred to as juvenile because of
Maybe because that's when they
mainly
diagnosed it or whatever.
right. You can mainly get
Got
diagnosed
it.
as a kid, as a juvenile. Like I've had
Got
it
it.
since I was 4. I know I used to go to and then wound up working at a diabetes camp in northern Jersey,
Oh yeah, we talked
northern
about the
Jersey,
sticker.
and I mean all of my friends there. We've all had it since we were kids.
Got it.
It's
All
fun
right. Well,
stuff.
long story short, your insulin is working. Your insulin pump is working
Yeah.
correctly, and you're
Yes, it
not
is.
going to go into a diabetic coma during this episode.
I haven't been in one since I was 16.
Wow. So you were in a diabetic coma?
I was. They pronounced me dead.
Dude,
Wild
okay. This
times.
has nothing to do with collecting, other than maybe you're like collecting badass stories. How what happened?
So I wasn't really taking care of myself. I was 16. Uh,
Did you have like the
and
pump? thing attached at that
No,
time?
no, no, no. I just recently got the pump in 2019 when they took the toe. I decided, hey, it's time to get serious about my life.
Right.
Um, I'd like to live a little longer. So 16, went out drinking on Halloween on a Friday night. Next day, woke up throwing up, felt terrible. I figured it was the drinking. That Sunday, I woke up again, luckily, um, and I still felt very terrible, and I couldn't breathe. It was like just could not breathe for shit. I went to go meet a friend at the park, and my doctor was right across the street from the park. So I went inside the doctor. I told him what was going on. They told me I was just very dehydrated. So I chugged some water. I went back home. I started coughing up black shit.
Ugh.
Yeah, no idea what was happening. I said, "All right, time to go to the ambulance." Get to the hospital. This is where everything starts to get hazy for me. Um, the I remember getting on the scale. I'm a hefty guy. At 16, I don't know, 220, big kid. Um, I get on the scale. They must have had it in kilograms. And I looked down and it said like 70 or something. I don't know the math on that.
Yeah.
I remember turning to the nurse and just being like, "Yo, your shit's broken." It's like, no shot I weigh 70 pounds. Um, I remember seeing my brother and sister freaking out, crying, and me turning to my mom and being like, "Hey, why are they freaking out? Like, I'm chilling, I'm good." And then after that, I don't remember much, but my mom told me that they had to incubate me. Intubate.
Intubate
They
is
had
the
to,
tube.
yeah, they had
Incubate
to
is like I'll sit on you like an egg.
next time.
Got it.
So they had to intubate me. But I was so damn thirsty. I kept ripping out the tube. And my first language is sign language. We can tell that story another time.
What? Okay.
So I just kept sitting there going like this, which is the sign for water. So I had the tube in my throat. I just kept sitting there like this because I was
Hmm.
so damn dehydrated. Next thing I know, I wake up. So that hospital was in Queens. Next thing I know, I wake up in Washington Heights on the tip of Manhattan in a completely different hospital.
Hmm.
So what had happened was the doctors, my mom explains it as the doctors didn't know what the fuck they were doing and they were looking in textbooks. They didn't know what was wrong with me. She called my diabetes doctor up in Washington Heights and they sent a team down to get me. They made her sign waivers that she allowed them to take me out of a hospital to bring me to another one. I died in the ambulance.
Wow.
They brought me back. I couldn't tell you how long I
They do
was.
paddles. Do you know?
I don't think so because nobody ever mentioned that. So no, I
Okay.
don't think they
So probably
did.
just chest compressions.
Yeah. I think it was probably not even like a second.
Right.
Like I think it was like a very quick flat line or whatever. Um. So the next day, so I go. They call it a diabetic coma. It wasn't like I was out for weeks. I was out for a day.
Okay.
Um. The next day I wake up and I still am intubated. So they're saying, put one finger up for yes, two fingers for no. Do you know where you are? Of course, I put up two fingers. Do you know what day it is? Two fingers. I don't know what the fuck's going on. My
Right.
mom butts in, and my mom goes, "Do you think your mother's beautiful?" And she said that I raised my hand and waved it like, eh. And she was like, "He's fine." So the reason that she knew I was good was because they also said that I had so much water on my brain that I was going to be a vegetable.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, it was a wild time. But when she asked that question, and I was like, mom's all right. She was like, "He's fine." She's like, "That's him."
Yeah.
And yeah, and then
Oh, so she must have been relieved that you were a dickhead.
oh, absolutely,
That's good.
absolutely.
Wow,
Crazy
that's
thing, I was in
wild.
pediatrics, and so this diabetes hospital. It's full of newborns that are all being diagnosed with diabetes.
Okay.
And then there's a dumb 16-year-old with a full beard and a chest of hair sitting there. Wild times.
Yeah, sounds like it. That's wild. That's truly a crazy story. I'm glad you're okay, man. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself and managing uh managing your symptoms and your disease. Is it called a disease? Autoimmune
It
disease,
is a
yeah.
disease. Yeah.
Got it. Managing
I'm
your
disabled.
disease. You
I
are?
can check it off. I like technically can check it off on disability.
Wow, that's pretty great.
So yeah, right.
God, there's some
Hey,
perks.
if you ever want to go to Six Flags with me, we skip all the lines.
Hey, you heard it here first, folks. Zack Mo is the perfect Six Flags date. Any of you thrill seekers out there happen to be single?
I'm your guy. If you're listening
All
on
right,
Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I just pointed guns at the camera and winked.
finger guns.
Finger guns.
We don't need to get demonetized before we make any money.
Finger
Oh yeah, I
guns.
wanted to say earlier that if you're watching this on YouTube, put in the comments "Happy birthday, Mama Mo." That's dope. I didn't even know it
She
was
would
your mom's
appreciate
birthday
that.
today. Happy
Yes,
birthday, Mama Mo. That'd be dope.
I posted it on Instagram. You don't follow me?
I do. I don't think I've checked Instagram posts
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Busy man.
You when you go on Instagram, do you look at posts? Do you scroll Instagram still?
Yeah. What else am I gonna do?
I just look at stories only.
I barely look at stories. I look at your stories sometimes, just because I want to leave you a dumb comment. But that's about it.
I lost connection for a second. I don't know if you did.
I don't know if I did either.
All right, well, we'll find out in the
What's
feedback. If you get a if you lost connection momentarily, apologies.
It's his fault. He got a new computer and he doesn't know how to
I
use
did
it.
get a new computer, brand new computer. Don't know how to use it. Okay, so I when I go on Instagram, I don't scroll at all. I just strictly look at stories.
Well, then I gotta start posting more stories.
I guess. Yeah. I was just curious. What about and again in the comment section, do you scroll or do you only look at stories on Instagram? Maybe it's just me. But I
And
feel
if
like
you're not
Instagram has
watching on
gone.
YouTube, you could always go into the Discord and leave your comments there.
Yeah, definitely. Put that in the Discord. I feel like Instagram has turned into like like for me I only use the story feature. I very
I
rarely scroll
barely
and look at
use it.
posts.
All I do is scroll and look at posts.
Interesting. I wonder what changed that for me. A lot of like story sales, like a lot of the people I deal with on Instagram are like sell things on their stories.
Hmm.
So that's maybe where that came from. I like open up Instagram, look through 10 or 15 stories and then get out of Instagram.
Right. So you do it as
It's a
from business.
Yeah, it is that's my business account. I haven't logged into my personal account on Instagram and
You have a personal account now. I gotta find it.
yeah. It's been a long time. I don't the last post I think my second daughter was just born. So that's a year ago in a couple days.
I'm gonna find that and post all the bad pictures of you in the Discord.
I mean it's Instagram, dude. There's really no bad pictures. They're all Instagram pictures.
Oh, excuse me. There's no bad pictures of them.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
So good looking.
they're the best pictures of me, the ones that made it to Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
They were screened prior to me getting married. It was all while I was in my peacocking phase. So all the photos are, elaborately planned out. And then once I was married, they all had to be approved by my wife to get posted. So
So I'm gonna find the peacocking phase pictures of
yeah,
Collector.
dude. So I had like a big, I'm not embarrassed by it at all. I think it's, we all have our phases. I had a huge like handlebar mustache,
What?
big beard, much bigger beard than I have right now. My beard went not quite as long as yours, but it was much longer. I was very particular about my hair, and I had my hair like a certain way, like a hard part, comb over.
You're a little
Um,
pretty boy.
yeah, suspenders.
Would
This
you
is back
use
when I had a real job. I wore
you
suspenders and bow
had
ties.
a handlebar mustache and
Yeah,
suspenders?
yeah.
Oh my god.
And if you go back far enough, I don't know if they're even still on there. They might be. When I so my wife and I met at like a work convention, and then we dated long distance for a very long time. And when we were dating long distance, I would write a haiku every day and post it on Instagram.
With your handlebar mustache and
No, it was
bow
just the
tie and
haiku,
suspenders. No, but you sat there in
just
your
the
handlebar
text.
mustache writing it.
Maybe, yeah, if I was at work.
Garth, that's a haiku. Name the movie in the comments.
Oh, I almost said it myself. I'm glad I waited until you. So I'm working on not stepping on your lines.
Hmm.
So I'm glad I waited.
Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts for.
Probably not very long.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
So I was trying to price a card of mine.
Okay.
And I mean, all these different sites have different numbers.
Hmm.
So, what do you use that you trust and think is the most reliable?
Okay. So there's a few different stipulations, I guess. I would say like, is the card English? The first question would be like, is the card English? If
Let's
the
go with
card is
yes.
if the card is English, uh, pretty much undisputed source is tcgplayer.com. And that's going to be for basically modern cards. There you can get information on vintage there as well, but vintage is a little tougher to price using TCG Player. But anything modern, anything from 2006 forward, I would use tcgplayer.com to at the very least to get a ballpark of the price. Now, the price that you see pop up on TCG Player may not be the right price for your card because you have to condition the card. There's guidelines on TCG Player for how to condition, but if you just want to quickly like reference like, hey, I have this Charizard, how much is this card worth? I would go to google.com, type in Charizard and the card number on the bottom left of the card. Most of them are on the bottom left. So
Yeah.
Charizard, whatever, 155, and whatever pops up on tcgplayer.com as like the market price. You scroll down a little bit, there's a graph. Whatever pops up as the market price, that's what I would reference for an English card that was printed after 2006. Any
Okay.
vintage stuff, so 2006 and prior, a little bit more complex. You can use a site called pricecharting.com. Price charting is good if you are not a professional, which I've learned over the years. So if you're just a layperson, right? If you're just a regular collector and your goal is not to like sell all these cards, but it's more or less to just get like a vague idea, price charting is good. Price charting for raw cards is a little difficult because what it does is it compiles all of the sold listings from eBay
Okay.
on that card. And what that means is if one that was folded in half sold on eBay for $2 because it was folded in half, and one that was the best copy you've ever seen sold on eBay for $200, and those are the only two sales, it's going to give you a market price of roughly $100, like somewhere right in the middle of those two things.
Right.
Now, in
And that
that
is
particular
$100. That's good math.
the the in that particular instance, the market price of the card is probably closer to like 160, 170. But because it's only using those two sales as reference points, it's going to give you the average of those uh, two prices. Now,
So,
like I said, for vintage, it's okay because thousands of Charizards sell on eBay, thousands of Blastoise cards sell on eBay. So you're going to get a rough idea. If you're, should I keep going? I have like so much information on this question.
well, I noticed that on I think I noticed this that on TCG Player it doesn't give grading prices.
No, not at all.
Right. Okay. So price charting does though.
Yes. Again, same issue with price charting. You're going to get a compilation of all of the most relevant eBay last solds. It's
Right. But
only pulling information. Go
if it's
ahead.
graded, it's not like it's because you're saying for a raw card, if it's
Mhm.
folded in half, it goes for $2. If it's not, it goes for 200. But if it's a graded 10, you're gonna get a better estimate of what it's worth.
Definitely a better estimate. It's not perfect, but it's a good estimate.
Right. Okay.
Um, Price charting lags a little bit compared to some of the other resources that are available for people who are in this space professionally. But for the average collector, for the average consumer, it will give you a really good idea of what your card is worth. I would not expect to sell that card for that full exact price.
Right.
And be aware that there are some differences. And sometimes price charting is occasionally price charting is low. Oftentimes it's a touch high. There are other marketplaces where collectible trading cards are sold: PWCC market, alt market, and golden market. And a lot of those sales are different than what you see on eBay because the fee structure is different. So sellers sell for either less or more because their fees are less or more. And so there's an app that I use for all my graded cards called ALT. That's how
Alt.
I ALT.
I was
Like,
making fun of you. Go ahead.
I hate you. And for alt, super simple. Shout out Alt, sponsor me for giving you this free promo. Um,
You got the word. You're good. Keep going.
you take a picture of the slab within the app, and it'll automatically pull up the market price of that slab based on all of the recent solds from all of those marketplaces.
Well, that's pretty
It'll
dope. I didn't know
also
that.
it'll show you a chart, and on the chart it'll show you dots. Each dot is a sale. So if one dot is a total outlier, you can click it and see like what happened, right? Like why did this one sell for $1,000 and the rest are selling for 100? And sometimes you click into the auction and it's like poorly listed and it automatically gets grouped in, and it's like, PSA 10 Charmander, and then you click into the listing and it's also Blastoise and Squirtle and all, 17 other slabs. It was just the AI didn't really catch the listing properly. So Alt, great resource for slabs, English and Japanese. If you have a mobile device while you're pricing out your slab and you're not trying to do it on a computer, use Alt. If you're doing it on a computer, price charting is probably your best bet for a slab.
Does alt also work well for non-graded cards?
No.
No. Okay.
At least I don't use it for that. I think they're working on integration for singles, but it's mainly for graded cards.
Gotcha. So
The problem with scanning singles for prices is that it doesn't take condition into the
consideration.
picture. Yeah. Now
Gotcha.
TCG Player has an app that you can scan the card and it'll bring up the market price, but it automatically brings up the near mint market price. And then you can adjust it. You can change it if you know your card is LP, lightly played, MP, HP, whatever. You can adjust it to get the more accurate market price.
Mhm.
But conditioning cards is usually something that happens at the time of sale. So when
Right.
I sell cards to, I supply singles to a lot of other vendors and people who do this professionally. And so when I do that, until we have a trust built between us, we condition the cards together
That
for the
makes
first,
sense.
let's say, 100 cards, right? Like, hey, I think this is near mint. What do you categorize this card as? Oh, I agree this is near mint. Or actually, I would say that one's LP. And then we kind of just get to know how the other is conditioning the card. There's a really good guideline for conditioning cards too, also on tcgplayer.com. And it'll tell you kind of like what falls into the light play category, what falls into the moderately play category. For me, after having all the, thousands of cards gone through PSA, when I'm conditioning cards, I'm conditioning them based on how I think they're going to grade. So a card might look perfect and have no whitening on it, but if it has a dent or a big scratch on the hollow, that card is damaged. And I'm
Mhm.
pricing it as damaged, if I'm buying it and if I'm selling it. Now, I don't expect, this is another important thing, I don't expect buyers to agree with how I market a card, and I don't expect sellers to agree with how I want to buy a card. When deals work out, great. But if I think a card is damaged and a seller is trying to sell it at near mint and I'm in person, I'm not going to tell them, hey, this card is damaged.
You're just gonna
Like
walk away.
well, right. I mean, if it's someone I have a rapport with, I'll say like, oh, dude, did you miss this? Like, there's like this big dent or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes, people just have their own way of conditioning cards. And technically, if you read the guidelines on TCG Player, near mint cards can have spots of white. Near mint cards can have light scratches on the hollow. So it really depends on the person. It depends on That's why pricing singles is very difficult. But generally
And you're a
speaking,
perfectionist, no?
well, when I'm grading, I have to be. When I'm selling like singles as lots, I try to not be so. When I'm selling them, I try to be very liberal. Also, when selling large lots, we typically work with percentages. So like we'll price out the cards and then we'll agree to like X percentage of market price is what you're going to pay, and that
Mhm.
leaves room for profit for the other person, but also leaves room for like, hey, this card was bent, like, or hey, I think this card, I'm going to sell this card as light play even though you had it as near mint.
So I have another
Like,
question.
sure,
You said that you're a perfectionist while grading.
yeah.
What happened?
Are you talking about your PSA 7 Charizard?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So I've learned over 2,000 plus submissions through PSA, how to be as good as I think humanly possible at grading. For your specific instance, there was an error on the card and I just missed it. There was an ink error on the card.
Yeah, I mean, when you showed it to me, I don't know if it's because my eyes suck. I can't tell there's an ink error.
Yeah, I mean it's a very minor error. But I missed it. I actually bought a black light for I bought a second. So I have one in my work office and now I have one in my home office. Um
I just like busting your balls.
I know.
You know that.
I know. But it bothers me because I try to be very, very good with when I'm grading cards. And
I can
the other
say
thing.
that out of all the cards I've seen you grade, that is the only time I've ever seen that happen with you. And I've
Um
watched you grade a lot of cards.
Yeah, I graded so that mistake happened. A couple promos I've graded have come back really, really, really low, like 4, 6. And I don't necessarily agree with the grades, but for whatever reason, PSA sees something on them that I don't. The cards look near mint to me. It's not like they're busted up, scratched, damaged that I can
Right.
see. But there's something that PSA doesn't love about those cards, and it does happen. When I've graded 2,000 cards, I would say probably 10, maybe 12 cards have come back like totally out of line with what I thought they would get.
But that's
Um
PSA's fault.
no, I mean, yeah, and my fault. Like, it's human difference of opinion.
I'm
PSA isn't
just
using
trying to help him here, guys.
a PSA is not using a robot to do this grading, right? They're
Mhm.
using another person. So if that guy went on his lunch before he's looking at my cards and they forgot to put the ketchup on his sandwich and he's pissed off about it, he might have a different opinion on the grade of that card,
I don't
versus
blame him.
right. You got to get the ketchup on your sandwich.
Yeah, just like I'm
If you
gonna
had
get
to
it on
have
my
a New
hot dog
York
at MSG.
bagel, yeah, oh my god.
Don't talk
Fine.
about bagels.
If
We're
you
just
if
gonna
you
go
had
back
to
and forth,
suffer through a New York bagel instead of a New Jersey bagel, I could understand why you'd be upset. Um,
shaking my damn head.
so yeah, I try to be very careful with grading stuff. I've had 10 or 12 really just kind of like slip through the cracks out of the 2,000 plus. And then I've probably had maybe like realistically, probably like 300 plus that graded one grade lower than what I thought they were going to grade.
Mhm.
And the reason I bring that up is because it's very common for me to have 15%, I think is the rate on that. 15% miss rate with tens. These are cards that I'm confident when I'm sending them in. Like we're gonna hit a 10 on this, and it comes back
Mhm.
a 9. That's quite difficult, but it's part of grading, and it's what makes a PSA 10 so much more valuable. Speaking of valuable PSA 10s, Magikarp from Paldea Evolved PSA 10. This is a question for you. Magikarp from Paldea Evolved PSA 10 or the Rayquaza VMAX Alt from Evolving Skies PSA 10. Which one
What's the
is
question?
which one's worth more?
Last time I looked, it was the Rayquaza.
Yeah, well, not anymore. The Art Rare Magikarp from Paldea Evolved in a PSA 10 sold for $630 very
Damn.
recently. And the Rayquaza
Wasn't it
VMAX
just at
Alt
like 100 something?
raw. Yeah. So
The
raw,
Magikarp.
the Magikarp raw is about 100. It's probably like 80 or $90 right now. It was over 100 raw.
So how much was the 10 at before this $600?
340, and then it like crept up until it hit over 630. The tens have always
That's
been
wild.
expensive because so this is like another rabbit hole type topic, but there's something that slab collectors refer to called like pop reports, population reports. And if
Mhm.
you look at the pop report on that specific card, and actually all the art rares from uh, Scarlet Violet, there are exponentially more PSA 9s than PSA 10s, which
Right.
means very difficult card to grade, very few 10s in existence comparatively, increase in price. Prior
Naturally.
to prior to Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield booming, pop reports pretty much drove the price on all slabs, which makes sense.
Mhm.
And then collectors with their money started saying, actually, we don't really care so much about pop reports. We care about great artwork. And now what we're seeing with this Magikarp, for example, is when you have great artwork and uh, a pop report that suggests the card should be expensive, the card has the potential to explode in price. I mean, that set is less than a year old, and to have a PSA 10 art rare from that set going for over $600 is insanity, unheard of. That would
Sell,
be
sell, 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 sell.
if you have one. I mean, they're hard to find. There's like 4 or 5 on the market right now. Like they're very difficult to find and grade, which is
Well,
why the
that's
price
why
is as
if you
high as it
have
is.
one, sell it.
Well, people are holding because, like you would say, sell, 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 and there's a lot of people who are taking risk and holding because I would have said sell at 300. If I
Yeah, I
pulled
would
that
have
out of
sold
a
it
pack, great,
immediately.
right, and I
Yeah,
would have lost half of my potential earning.
yeah, but
You know,
that's a risk.
yeah, absolutely it is, but that's why people hold because they're
No,
either
I like
situated
money
enough,
now.
right? But some people don't. Some people, specifically people who are truly investing in Pokemon, don't really care for one small return. It's more like the big picture.
I
So their
just like money.
portfolio is not a Magikarp slab, right? If my portfolio was a Magikarp slab only, absolutely, at 300, sell it. But
You trying to
most
make
of the
fun of somebody whose portfolio is just a Magikarp slab?
no, I don't have that. I would love to have that slab. In fact,
Yeah,
if your portfolio is only a Magikarp slab and you want to sell it, get at me. Get at me in Discord. I would love to have that in a PSA 10.
only give it to him for 300.
Yeah, I'll take it for 300. I'll
No,
take
wait. I fucked that up. I fucked that up. Only give it to him for 1,000.
I have
I
it in
fucked that up.
Japanese in a PSA 10. I do not have it in oh wait, no. I don't have I sold it. I had it in Japanese. I sold it to
Speaking of
Charlie. Shout out
Japanese,
Charlie.
shout out Charlie. Uh, shout out Cardi. Speaking of Japanese,
Yeah.
so we covered English cards.
Mhm.
Where would you go to get a rough estimate of a pricing on a Japanese card?
Okay, so for raw cards, there's a couple different resources for Japanese cards. Again, it depends on your like sort of role in the
What do
collectibles
you
world.
use? What do you? We want to hear what you use.
It depends on the situation. I used to use TCG Republic all the time.
Okay.
TCGRepublic.com. That was like sort of the TCGplayer.com of Japanese singles. Recently, in the past 6 to 8 months, the yen has lost quite a bit of value comparatively to the US dollar, and
hmm
so Japanese cards have dropped quite a bit for some singles,
Remind
especially
me, I
for
have
smaller.
something to mention about that. But go ahead.
Okay, especially for smaller singles, like lower cost singles. If you're talking about like vintage singles or like really big, like 1,000 or 2,000, $5,000 plus cards, they're generally pretty stable. But the smaller stuff, the stuff that's like $100 and under, they've dropped pretty significantly. And TCG Republic has not really dropped their pricing suggestions. So they're kind of like, I don't even go to TCGRepublic.com at all anymore. If I need a quick reference point to say, like, hey, this card's worth about X amount, I would go to price charting.
Okay.
Um, and in fact, when I'm selling at a percentage, I also use price charting, but I put in my spreadsheet that I'm like, I'll put like an asterisk and say like price from price charting so that the buyer knows, like, if they don't want to use price charting or they can find a different price, present me with where they found that and I'll either agree or disagree.
Gotcha.
Um, the best way to do it would be to actually go on to eBay and search near mint Charizard EX SSR or SAR, right? And then go to the filters and click on sold listings. And then it'll bring up the most recent sold listing. Well, then you have to sort by recent. It'll bring up the sold listings for that exact card in near mint condition. And then you
Okay.
would take
So
an average of those. But you also
gotcha.
want to put a lot more weight in the most recent ones because the price of cards changes so rapidly,
hmm
especially in in the Japanese market. I mean, it's in the English market too, but it seems even more so in the Japanese market. Most seller buyers and sellers at like conventions will go by the last like three last solds, like an average of the last three, if the card's over like $100.
Mhm.
Again, smaller cards, there's a lot more room, but if a card's like $200-300, I'm going by the last two or three sold,
So
unless
there's
there's
an
like a
app that
major
I
outlier.
use. There's an app that I use called Collector. Surprisingly, it's not your app. It doesn't have the O in Collector.
Yeah, Collectr.
Yes. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I mean, I
So
don't have
I
it, I don't use it, but I know it.
I use it to keep track of my cards, like some cards, and it gives you the pricing, so I can get a rough estimate of what my collection's worth. Um, I went on there today actually, and I
Mhm,
noticed that the SAR Perrin that I have in a 10
mhm,
dropped $70.
yeah.
So now
The
it's
new
worth
set came out.
roughly 130.
Yep, the new set came out. You have very small windows with, Japanese cards right now. Basically, you get a new set every 4 to 6 weeks, and that's
Mhm.
your window. That's why people want the sets early, that's why people pay a premium to have the sets early, and this really is, like, a little bit out of what the collective covers and more for, like, the Collectors Club, the stream that I run, but I skipped Night Wanderer early because I don't feel that there's anything in this set that is worth paying the early premium for.
Well, that's
So,
frustrating. Not what you just said. I'm sorry to backtrack, but you said every 4 to 6 weeks we're getting a new set.
yep,
How long does PSA take to grade a card,
depends on how much you pay. You can get 5-day turnaround,
and
10-day
how much is that?
turnaround, 10-day turnaround with shipping without a middleman, 110.
Right, so that's crazy. My card, I mean, I pulled that when the set was pretty fresh. I think maybe
Mhm.
the second week after.
Yep.
I
We
just
had
got it back,
40-ish day turnaround from when you pulled it to when you had it back in your hand.
and now it's already dropped pretty remarkably in price.
Yep.
Zack Mo says bullshit.
So the other thing you have to keep in mind is that as that card had dropped in price, the yen was continuing to suffer and Japanese sets were continuing to suffer.
I don't
Um,
care about them. I care about my money.
the price of other Japanese sets has continued to drop to all-time lows. I mean, Shiny Treasure EX, I'm sure you remember that set. That set
Yep.
was the first set to really drop dramatically.
I
I
think
saw it
that was going for
today.
what, like 80, I remember.
I mean, at a point, it was over 100 when it first came
Right.
out. It was over like pre-order on that set was over 100. We were talking about it, like everybody was like, "Yo, this set's going up. This set is great. Buy, 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 buy." I saw it today. I don't have it. I don't carry it. I have a very bad taste in my mouth with that set. I don't ever want to rip it again. I saw it today selling for 33.99 on TikTok. No coupons.
For everybody who bought that, I'm so sorry.
I know. It's terrible.
That is ridiculous.
So, like I said, with Night Wanderer, I looked at the set. I really like the art rares. I think it's a super fun set. But for me to get a set early, like I normally do, I have to pay extra. I'm paying someone to basically like backdoor the set
Mhm.
and then they have to ship like it's coming from Japan. So they have to get it very early and then ship it to me express. And all those things factor into the price. And then I sell it for a premium because it's early and
Right.
nobody has it. I don't think Night Wanderer is a strong enough set to justify paying that premium price. I'll
I'll give you
have it.
that.
I think it lands tomorrow. It's already on the way from Japan, and my cost per box dropped like $14 or something like that by
I
waiting
I looked
5
at the
extra
set.
days.
I looked at the set, and there are some nice art rares, like you
The
said.
artworks are dope. I love the Beware. I love the Persian,
The Persian's really dope.
but it's the SARs leave a lot to be desired. I think we have Penny, who I mean could be
It's a
cool.
dope looking card.
There are some really cool penny cards, but, like, that's not the one for me,
I think it's dope, but I mean, it's not something that I would go chase.
and I just don't think it's gonna command very much value, and a lot of collectors, like it or not, collect based on potential value,
Right.
and, I don't see Night Wanderer as, like, a knock it out of the park kinda set, and so, for me to wait the extra 5 days the first time I've done that in I don't know how many sets, and to not have it early.
That's true.
So I mean, everybody who follows me knows, like, I always have stuff early. I have stuff at pre-release for English, and I have stuff, before release in Japan. But yeah, it just wasn't. I didn't see the value in it, and so whatever, you guys. If people who are members of the Collectors Club or purchase from the Collectors Club want that set, it's available. You could have bought it early, but I'm gonna have it at a much better price on Thursday than I
You
would have
heard it
had
here
the week
first. Much
before.
better price.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I paid $14 less a box, so it's gonna be $14 less a box.
There you
It's
go.
gonna be. I would have to charge originally like $57.99, so now it'll be like whatever, 41, 42.99, whatever the math is on that.
That's not bad for a box.
That's MSRP. You can't buy it in Japan for that price.
How much is it in Japan?
$40 plus tax, and then you
It's
got
not
to
bad at all.
try to ship it to the United States or fly to
Well,
Japan and back.
yeah, that's
I
gonna
mean,
cost
some
you
of
a
the
little bit
smaller
more.
sets might be like 35, whatever, but like most sets in Japan are about $40 a box.
Gotcha.
So we're
That's
paying.
pretty
We're at
good.
a point where we're paying at or under MSRP. The Shiny Treasure is under MSRP. $33.99 for a specialty set is under MSRP in Japan.
That's
That's
crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
But the set was just kind of printed to the ground, and it's really unfortunate what happened. And now the entire Japanese market has followed. I have a lot of thoughts on how all that came to fruition, and the dropping of the Japanese yen just happens to line up with it. But I think there are certain sellers who are responsible for the demise of the Japanese market as of late. I think it's great to have these boxes available at $40. I love that for people, that you're not paying $100 for a Japanese booster box. Unfortunately, the singles are taking a hit along with them, and so now they're more
Well,
really for like collectors than anything else.
there's the potential that if you hold on to it, maybe it can go up, correct?
Definitely. I think Japanese is in a down cycle. The same way we were in a down cycle when Scarlet Violet dropped,
Hmm.
and nobody was buying booster boxes at 80, and now they're worth 120. And if you know math, that's a 50% gain in 6 months on Paldea Evolve, for example. You couldn't sell them for $85, and now they're $125 in 6 months.
Right. That's
And
crazy.
they're selling consistently. That's a 50% gain. So if you were strong and bullish, as investors say, on Paldea Evolved 6 months ago, and you said, I love this set. This Magikarp is really strong. I love the artwork in this set. I'm going to buy 100 cases of this set. And you were an investor. You had cases. Let's say you were paying 85 a box for the case. I think you're at 530. Case of English is 6 boxes. You're at 510. So you buy 100 cases. That's $51,000, and you wait 6 months, and you make $25,500 in 6 months.
That's not bad.
If you offload everything, and that's assuming a 0% fees, you're going to make probably more like $18,000. But for an investor, that's a no-brainer. That's better money
Right.
than Wall Street.
They have really good bagels on Wall Street, though. Um,
In Wall Township, New Jersey, the bagels are awesome. Yeah, I agree.
that was good. That was good. I'll give you that. Okay, so we got price charting for Japanese, pretty much TCG player, and price charting for English. So those are, you would say, that your main.
For singles, yeah, that's the place. They're both trustworthy. TCG player is pretty much the most trustworthy. For sealed as well, I would reference TCG for modern sealed, and then eBay for more like vintage sealed stuff. Yeah, really,
Gotcha.
if you want this to become lucrative for you, or if money is really important to you in the hobby, you have to learn how to search eBay last solds. It's critical.
Well, just do what you just said, right?
Yes, you go to
So
eBay, you have to search the listing, and then you have to go to the filters and do sold items, and then you have to sort by recent. And then you have to be able to like parse out the ones that are showing up in your search even though they're erroneous.
gotcha. Gotcha.
But a lot of people don't know how to do that, and it's hard to do it on the mobile app. It's like they like bury the filter for solds pretty far into the filter menu. You have to actually
So
go
do it
into the
on a computer.
filters. You can do it on a computer, or you can do it on your phone. But when you go to filter, you have to scroll to like the show more option on your phone. So you do the search, and then you go to filters, and you got to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it says like, I don't know exactly, but like show more filters or whatever. You click that, and you scroll almost all the way to the bottom again, and then you click sold listings, and then
So
it'll
that's
show you
just
what's been
too
sold.
much work for you.
Not for me, but a lot of people don't know how to do it.
Well, now they do.
It's
For
tedious.
everybody who's
It's
listening.
more when you're pricing an entire collection, it's tedious for sure. There's not a great method for pricing sealed at the moment. Other than if it's modern, TCG Player is a really good source.
Gotcha. So now we know. You've heard it
But like
here first.
Evolving Skies, for example, the reason I have a box right there, it popped into my head. Evolving Skies on TCG Player is probably showing around $750 market price. Really, on eBay and Amazon and other like major online retailers, Evolving Skies is selling for like 900 a box.
You have a
So
box right there,
I'd happen to have one next to me. Yeah.
a booster box.
Yes. Would you like to
Let's
see
rip
it?
it.
No, I'm not ripping it, dude. No way.
Let's rip it. Let's
This is
pull
not.
that moon
I,
kitty.
I paid very high on this box. I did restock Evolving Skies for the stream though. This one is mine.
I'm not
This one
buying
stays with
any
me.
of the Evolving Skies.
This stays with me. This is mine. But I bought 300 something, 300 some odd packs. I got a lot of evolving for this week. It's
How
gonna be a
fast do
good
you think
week.
those are gonna go?
I think it'll be 2 weeks. 300's a lot.
2 weeks?
I
I
think
don't
it'll be
know.
two
I
weekends
think if
because I'm not
I
streaming
prime
Saturday,
two
Sunday.
packs, but if I prime 2 packs uh every night, I was gonna say like every half an hour, but I don't have the funds for that.
I'm not streaming Saturday, Sunday. I think it's going to be 2 weekends. The other thing though is
Okay.
like it's very possible that somebody comes in and says, "You have how many packs of evolving?" I'll take them all. A lot of people, because it's so hard to find evolving in mass quantity like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if you were in the stream, but somebody one time came in and was like, "I want to buy all your evolving skies, but I only want to pay whatever 20% less than what I was selling them for." And I was like, "Okay, I appreciate the offer, but no, thank you." And then by the end of that exact stream, I was sold out.
There you go.
So yeah, I'd rather slow and steady. Everybody gets a chance.
Be
But
the
this week's
tortoise.
restock is ridiculous. I went hard on this week's
What else
restock.
did you get?
I got 151 ETBs, which are
Oh boy.
impossible to find, but I got some 151 ETBs. I got Fusion Strike ETBs again. I sold out of those. I got more Astral packs. I have every Sword and Shield set that matters,
Did
basically.
you hear that, Charlie? He has more astral packs. Let's see
um,
another meltdown.
Silver Tempest. I got a ton of Silver Tempest. I restocked all the Japanese stuff. I bought the Evolving Skies, restocked Chilling Rain. What else did I buy? Paldean Fates restock. I was starting to run low, and then I stocked up on Crown Zenith. We're getting so. What's today's date?
The
June
11th.
12th.
It's
By 10 minutes, June 12th. It was the
okay.
11th when we started.
It was my mom's
So
birthday. I know the date.
11th, right. Okay, so mid June. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I would
Okay.
say by mid September, Crown Zenith will be very difficult to find.
So the
So
prices are gonna skyrocket on
inevitably
that.
they'll go up. Yes. So I am stocking up on Crown Zenith. Every week I'm buying as much Crown Zenith as I can reasonably buy.
I just want the legendary dogs, and you
Yeah.
just
I
won't
mean,
pull them for me.
look, there's 40 alt arts in that set.
And
It's a
all you
hard
pulled me is the gold Arceus. Arceus.
that's a great pull. And also it's not like you've opened 150 packs of the set. Let's be real. You've
Yeah, I've
probably
opened
opened
like
like
300.
no way.
I opened
No
3 tins.
shot.
That's 15. I'm gonna say like 30 packs.
Right. So not even a booster box, and you have one of the top cases in the set.
Yeah. Just give me what I want.
So evolving, same way. People open 5 packs of evolving. They're like, oh, I never pull anything. Like the pull rates are hard. The pull rate on a Moon Kitty is like 1 in 1,200. Like that's the established data that we have from millions of
And
packs being
somehow people
opened.
keep pulling it after I buy packs.
Luck, man, it's luck. But the pull rate, the true pull rate, is 1 in 1,200. And then you look at someone like, I don't want to mention their name in case they want to be anonymous. I don't want to dox anybody, but there was somebody on our stream who opened himself well over 1,200 packs of Evolving Skies. And that was just with me. I know he was also opening before he started ripping with me, and he did not end up pulling the Moon Kitty on stream or
Now
ever from a lot of those
that's
guys.
some shit luck.
So that's some terrible
We're
luck.
not
Now
naming
we
anybody, but
pulled
I'm sorry, pal.
we pulled I don't know, 5 Rayquazas. We pulled all the other alt arts and multiples. You know, it wasn't like we were never hitting anything, but it was very difficult to hit that specific card. Now, the pull rate on the Rayquaza is exactly the same as the Umbreon VMAX. So it was just bad luck. To hit 6,
Mhm.
8, 10 Rayquaza VMAXs, however many he did, and not hit the Moonbreon, it was just bad luck. But
Gotcha.
it happens. It does happen to people,
I have another random
especially to me.
question that just
I
popped
never
into
pull
my head.
anything,
Yeah, well, that's because you're selling it.
I
Baseball
guess.
cards.
Yeah.
Is there a good website for? I mean, I'm sure most people probably have a box of baseball cards sitting around.
Yep.
Is there a good website for that?
So there's a website called 130point.com. You can also use it for Pokemon. A lot of people use it for for referencing Pokemon. 130 point is similar to price charting in that it compiles last solds to give you an idea. So it's the number 1, the number 3, the number 0, point, point.com, 130point.com. And that is a viable resource. Also, eBay last solds. Beyond those two and price charting, you can use price charting for sports and other collectibles as well. Beyond 130 point price charting and eBay, I don't know the resources because I'm not like very well versed
Hmm.
in the sports card world. But Alt, for example, for slabs, Alt will pull any PSA slab. It doesn't have to be Pokemon. So if you're researching slabs, Alt is really a good app. But something that I think is really important to mention because you brought up baseball cards. If you have a box of baseball cards in your house, statistically speaking, the odds are they're worth virtually nothing.
Well, then you may get that one.
Of course,
You
you
know.
may, but what happened with baseball cards, and a lot of people are afraid it might happen with like Pokemon if they print too much. There was something called the junk wax era where so many packs and cards were produced and so many were sold that the value is just like less than a penny a card. Like nobody even wants to purchase the bulk cards. They're genuinely considered junk. Um,
Well, I don't
and
think that
sports.
personally. Sorry, I don't
Go
think
ahead.
that would happen with Pokemon because of the playing aspect.
So Pokemon rotates cards though. So like when a card like you can't play with a base set Squirtle in your deck unless you're playing a modified format of the TCG. You
Well,
have to be
nobody
playing
should
with
be playing with a base set Squirtle anyway.
why?
Because it's a base set Squirtle, you should be trying to grade that and sell it.
I mean, what if I mean if you have like a damaged copy or well not you can't play with damage, but if you have like a moderately played copy, you're not going to grade it.
I would put it in a binder. That's a base set Squirtle.
All right. Well, I have probably
I'm a
50 of
collector.
them, so I can send you one. But players are very much like players play with alt arts. They play with whatever,
Hmm.
whatever card works in their deck. Um, Now I see a different reason why Pokemon won't enter a junk wax era, but I agree that I do think Pokemon is a little bit more immune to it than something like baseball. I mean, Charizard's
It's
not going to
America's
sprain.
pastime now.
Yeah, Charizard's not out there spraining ankles. You know what I mean? He's not going to tear his ACL. So
No,
there's
because he
less
has wings and he
volatility.
flies.
There's less volatility in that regard, I think. And Pokemon are there's less Pokemon than professional sports players as well. So I think that helps.
They're
I
cuter.
think well, yeah, some people think so. Some Pokemon,
Well,
some of the recent Pokemon, I'm not like a
have you
huge fan of.
seen
But
some of the baseball players out there nowadays?
to be honest with you,
Uh,
no, I really don't watch
yeah, me
baseball at
neither.
all.
I'm just making a joke.
He says as he fantasizes about Derek Jeter.
Well, I mean, come on. That's Derek Jeter.
New York's
I'm not.
finest.
I'm not a gay man, but it's a good looking dude.
So back to what I don't even
You
remember the
think so
original
too?
question now. Back to what you were
Uh,
saying about baseball
See,
cards.
now
Oh yeah, yeah. The question was like
he's
where
all
to.
flustered over Derek Jeter now.
Oh, really? I need to go change after thinking about him.
Uh-oh, lava lamp.
uh, yeah, the question was like where to price out baseball cards or sports cards or any other cards. But what I was thinking of that I wanted to bring up was Magic the Gathering and how this is an interesting difference between MTG and Pokemon. Magic never rotates their cards. So what that means is like the very first Magic cards that were ever printed, you can still
Mhm.
use them in competitive play. And that is why a lot of like vintage Magic cards are worth so much money
Gotcha.
because you can still use them in competitive play. They can still be like staples in competitive decks. Whereas Pokemon rotates cards out of play every whatever. I don't know how long the rotation is, but basically when a set falls out of rotation, all the cards that are worth like 5, 10, 15, $20 that aren't really like great artworks, they're just super expensive cards, they're going to drop in price. A good example is like
So
the gold Buddy Buddy Poffin that just
I was
came
gonna
out
say
in
the
Twilight
Dragapult,
Masquerade.
but go ahead. Yeah.
Dragapult's another good example. Yeah, Dragapult, maybe even more impacted, but Buddy Buddy Poffin just popped into my head because it was like $40 or something for this ultra rare. That's going to be a $5-10 card down the line when it's not in
Mhm.
rotation anymore. It'll be in rotation for a long time, but once it's not in rotation anymore, it'll be much cheaper. But I think even like a bulk Buddy Buddy Poffin, like just the regular non-hollow version of it, is like $1.
Compared to what? Usually like 5 cents?
I mean, yeah, if you're like selling bulk to a card store, you get a penny a card.
There you go.
You could say it's worth 5 cents, but you can't sell it for 5 cents. Like, who are you going to go and be like, oh, would you want to buy this card for a nickel? Like, nobody's
I'm
buying it
gonna
for five
ask you
cents. You know what I
every
mean?
night in stream if you wanna buy a card for a nickel. I'm gonna find a random bulk card every night and ask if you wanna buy
I
that for a
can't wait.
nickel.
I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Everybody, we should all do it.
Oh, don't do that, please.
Everybody who listens,
It's already
who
hard enough
watches
to
this
keep up with the
stream.
chat.
Well, now
It's
the chat's
already
just gonna
hard
be like,
enough.
hey, collector, you wanna buy this Buddy Buddy Poffin basic for 5 cents?
I would say yes. That's a come up
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's a
because it's a
dollar.
dollar now. I
Yeah.
keep doing that. God
Yep.
damn it.
Thank you. You got to be quick on your feet, man. That's how you
Nobody listen to
succeed in
me.
the Pokemon world.
Nobody listen to me when trying to sell your singles to him.
Yeah, definitely not.
'Cause I'm way off.
So I guess kind of like to summarize about like these resources that are available for people. I think the most important thing, regardless, as someone who has a lot of experience buying and selling, the most important thing is not like where you get the information, but how you transact with someone. Make sure you trust the person you're buying from. And don't just blindly trust because you're a nice person. Like check their references. People who are
What
selling
if
on
they don't have
Instagram,
references?
then get a middleman.
True.
People like if you're a member of my community, I offer free middleman services, but there's paid middlemans out there who are that's all they do. They take a commission percentage for middlemaning a deal and they'll middleman any deal. And they have references because they're an established middleman. Um, Make sure you trust who you're buying from. Make sure you trust them to ship your products appropriately. Make sure you trust them to condition the cards correctly if you're not seeing them in person. Make sure you trust them to, stand behind their product if you buy something that's not authentic for whatever reason. Like mistakes happen. Like I've made so many mistakes as a seller, but people come back to me even when I make mistakes because I always offer to make it right. If I sell somebody a product and it's not authentic, which thank God has never happened, they're immediately getting a refund for that product.
Right.
Or if I sell somebody a card and I say it's near mint and I didn't check the condition properly and they say it's damaged, I'm not going to question them. You know what I mean? Like if it's
Hmm.
someone I've done a bunch of business with and they can send me a photo, like it's okay. Like my bad. Here's your money back. Here's the
All
difference.
the cards you've ever sent me have been damaged.
Well, I don't trust you. So
I want
the
all of
reason
your
I don't trust
evolving
you is
packs.
because you think New York bagels are better than New Jersey bagels.
Oy, oy
But
vey.
that brings up a good point. Make sure you trust the person you're selling to as well. I think a lot of people are just out to just try to sell and make a quick buck. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's best not to sell something if it just doesn't feel right. Like there are chargebacks. I've gotten hit with many chargebacks doing this, where people pay you with some kind of digital currency and then tell their bank like, "Oh, it was a fraudulent charge," and then I don't get paid and they get their product. So
Sucks for
you got to
you.
be. As a business owner, it's like one of the pitfalls of doing this. It's a small percentage. Fortunately, I have an amazing community of people where that doesn't happen, but it does happen. People make a living scamming other people.
Oh yeah, I get all the text messages all day. Hey, is this Anna? We met last night. No, this is Zach. And then I give him a
Crickets.
nice face. Yeah.
Oh, you send a selfie?
Usually, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, trust your buyer. Trust the person you're buying from. Trust the person you're selling to. Use a good reference point. Use multiple if you need to. If it's a big transaction, use a middleman. Check references. I mean, I think those are all really important factors when you're buying and selling.
Well, when I'm
And I think,
trading, I always ask you. I say, "Do we trust this person?"
yeah,
And
I mean, ask people you know, right?
yeah.
Ask like, hey, who have you done business with? Or like, hey, has anyone done business with so and so?
Mhm.
I think the best lesson I've learned too, like if it sounds too good to be true, it is. These wild deals that you see like posted up on YouTube or Instagram shorts or whatever, where people like go to a garage sale and find a first edition base set Charizard and pay 50 cents for it, like doesn't happen. These are lottery ticket examples. These things don't happen. So if someone's selling something for way below market price,
Mhm.
there's a reason for it.
Because they're scamming you. Don't
There's
do it.
scammers out there. There's scammers that, and I'm not saying everybody who sells cards below market is a scammer at all. That's not the case. But if someone's selling a $500 card for $150, there's
You're
something
getting
weird going
scammed. Yeah.
on.
Don't
Something's up.
do it.
Something's up.
Collector says, "Don't do it."
If it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck,
It's a chicken.
our new T-shirts coming at you from the collective.
Get them on YouTube.
How I
I
can I
don't
don't
know.
even know how these
I
come.
don't know.
I don't know either, man.
I've had a long day. Let me
Me
live.
too. Me too. What do you think? We good?
I think that's about time to wrap it up then.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Zack Mo, where else can you find us?
You can find us on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, RSS feed, and I think that's pretty much about it. You can also find all the links. I have a link tree under my profile on Instagram and TikTok at Zack Mo Martin,
I
and I believe
also have
you
one.
also. Right.
Yep, at collector_MCB. And I have a link tree on both Instagram and TikTok. You can find all my socials and join our Discord community as well. We have a healthy buy, sell, trade area in the Discord. Like I said, I offer middlemaning services for people. I have tens of thousands of confirmed sales. Just ask
We
about me if
also
you have.
have a pretty fun Pokemon Go community.
Yeah, lots. How was your community day? Did you play?
I got two shiny Goomies.
Nice. Okay.
Both of them, their stats are terrible, but I got two shiny, so that's
There you
it's
go.
not bad.
Not bad.
It's
Not
pretty good.
bad.
It's pretty good. And
I have.
also, I'm going to be finding those peacocking pictures
Oh
and
my god, I forgot all
blowing
about
up the Discord with that. So if you want to see some fun pictures of Collector, I highly recommend
it.
joining the Discord.
I'm about to make my profile private right now. It might
Don't do
actually
that.
already be private.
Don't do it.
It might happen. It might have to happen. I think it's private
And
already. I'll see. It might already be private. Anyway,
don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, as he said. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
bye.